Okay, so today I'm going to share with you the story of the first house that I ever bought in a low-income area. And I know for many people, they're considering buying properties in lower-income areas, what we call cash flow properties. And the reason they're called cash flow properties is because generally it's all about getting rental income, not so much about appreciation. Now, of course, if you can get appreciation, then fantastic. But in many of these areas, you'll find that they tend to cash flow relatively well, but they don't grow as much. And these tend to be in the Midwest, your Ohio's, Alabama, Indiana, parts of Florida in some cases. Really the kind of the red states, generally speaking, where you're going to see this kind of thing. Now, the biggest learning for me is your mindset has to be completely different. And this is where so many investors struggle because the number one thing that they have to get over is the property condition, the livability, the amenities, and oftentimes even just the style of houses in some of these areas. And I know when I used to take people on these trips, I'd go with them. And the number one thing that I would always hear from people, even from experienced investors, was, I would never live there. And you know what? I get it. I wouldn't live there either. But that doesn't mean that other people don't want to live there. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad property. Everyone's at a different level. And, the ultra rich, the billionaires, I guarantee you, they won't want to live in the house that you want to live in. Your dream home may be something that they would never want to live in. Why? Because their expectations are here and your expectations are here. Well, in the same way, your expectations are very different to people in a lower income suburb. And what would be a very good property for them may not be a place that you want to live. And so you have to understand that your preconceived ideas are not necessarily reflective of other people's views. And until you can get past that, you'll struggle to invest in areas that you're not familiar with. And so the first property that I bought in a low income area was $16,000. $16,000. That's a used car, right? And that's what it cost. But it was the house was in decent condition. The tenant was very happy living there. He was a single guy. It was a 3-bed, 1-bath house. It was built in like 1921 or something like that. It was old, but it was clean and it was safe, and it provided shelter and a home for him. Now, would I want to live there? Absolutely not. It wasn't the safest neighborhood. It wasn't necessarily the best neighborhood. But overall, it gave him a great place to live. And, for a lot of people investing in these areas, they have to get over that because they're thinking about it with the same mindset that they think about when they buy their own home. And realistically, that is not the same criteria that you use when you're buying a rental. When you're buying a rental, the real question is somebody willing to rent it from me for the price that I want? And is that a good price relative to, or a good rental price relative to the price I've paid for the property? Because again, it's a money decision. And this mindset shift from I wouldn't live in it to this is a great rental takes time. And you have to go through and really see what's available on the market and what sort of suburbs there are, how they look, what the condition is. And there'll be other videos that I'll link to, even on the end of this, that you can watch with other information about, hey, this is what a good rental looks like in a lower income neighborhood. And just because you wouldn't live there doesn't mean that there isn't value there. And, the biggest learning is going on the ground. Until you get there, until you see these properties, until you understand the tenants and, the kind of work they do and the kind of lifestyle they have and what's important to them, it's a huge disconnect for many people when they're buying these sorts of properties. So I highly encourage you, take the time to go into these neighborhoods and really understand what makes a valuable rental or what makes a valuable investment in a lower income neighborhood, because they can be very, very good from an investment standpoint. But you have to get over this mental block that so many investors have, which is that I wouldn't live there. And so, yes, there's a lot more to it, and I'll share that in other videos, but this is the number one thing. Until you can get over this, you will struggle, because you'll see something and say, well, that's not something that I would live in, or that's not something that I enjoy, or, that's not the area that I like. Okay, that's fine. I get all that. But you have to be able to get over that piece so that you can find a good rental that's unbiased and that you're looking at it from a pure investment standpoint. So encourage you to think about that as you're looking into investing in lower income areas. You have to get over your own issues, so to speak, and so you can be a good investor in that part of the market. Hope this helped. Have a great day.